This answer is going to be different for every single author. I think it applies a little bit more to people who are hybrid, like I want to put out books on my own, but I also have an agent. I also think it leans more toward the indie side and not really ChadPub side. I don't think they're allowed to share their stuff. So for example, I'd be sharing the indie stories I intend to put out myself and not the ChadPub stories that are with my agent. One of the reasons I think it's important to be on Patreon for some people, maybe not everyone, but for some people, is I think it's important to diversify your author income. Some people exist in all of the social media spaces and on all of whatever kinds of platforms. And then some people only exist in some spaces, but all of them have the potential to be your audience, right? So, for example, I have found people on TikTok who don't exist anywhere else. They don't want to be in those other spaces, and they have become like readers. I have found people on That Picture app who are only on there. But in a whole nother sense, I have found readers on Kickstarter when I did my audiobook that I never would have found because they exist on Kickstarter. They love to do that, right? And so similarly, I think there are going to be people on Patreon who love that format, who love to feel like they're investing in a product and a person and something. And I think that that's like really kind of very special. And I think that's really special, but I think all the ways are special because we all invest in our favorite things in different ways. So some people might pre-order the book and wait excitedly for its release, but some people might get involved in the ARC stage and want that version of the book. And some people are helping in beta. Some people help by sharing. These are all ways that you invest in an author. And so is contributing to a Kickstarter, and so is contributing to a Patreon, right? And you're tapping into as many different audiences as possible. And that is something I really believe in terms of marketing is how can I reach an audience that I'm not already reaching? Now, that said, I really do think that I might do well on Patreon, not because like, oh, I'm so good, not like that. But I think that because of the way my brain works, I've got ADHD, I'm struggling to impose a deadline on myself. But if people are holding me accountable because they are there waiting for a product, I will produce the product because that is how my brain works. So I really feel like that might be a space for me, but I don't think is a space for everyone. And so I would be very cautious and look at it and just see if it is right for you, if it is something you want, and if it is something that's not going to burn you out, okay? That's something that has halted me on this journey of stepping in, is that I've got to make sure that every move I make does not make me crash and burn for being exhausted, because I will not do anything halfway. Like I'm not going to produce a bad product for people. But I do have to make sure that I have the capability of dedicating myself in that way before I say yes to that way. And so I think that the bands kind of really pushed me to realize that I can do it and I'll have time to do it. And I just have to figure out what things I would offer so that I'm giving a good product without crashing and burning.